Good afternoon, guys. We are tracking currently two severe thunderstorms up in the Fall, Michigan. There's one warning in effect until 3:15 for Tuscola County, and there's also one that is about to expire down here in Sanilac and St. Clair counties. Currently, they are warned for 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch hail. This storm is moving over the lake. It'll be moving over land here into Ontario shortly. But right now, we have scattered development that has occurred from Saginaw over to Grand Rapids and also a secondary line from Flint to Lansing. So we have some scattered storms that have developed just like we thought. And I want to particularly focus on one storm right now, which is up here in Tuscola County. If we look at our velocity scan, we zoom in, you're going to see this area of green and red. That right there could be indicative of some rotation ongoing. We don't know exactly why it's happening. The atmosphere today isn't particularly favorable for tornadoes. I'm not sure what just happened to my radar. I'll have to go ahead and get that back up. The atmosphere is not particularly favorable for tornadoes today, but for some reason the storm decided to start rotating. It could be because of a leftover outflow boundary that has occurred. All right, we should be back now. We're having some technical difficulties with this. And we now have a tornado warning for that cell. So now we have an official tornado warning for Tuscola County that goes until, I want to say, 3:30. I'm about to pull up the data here. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with my computer and my radar here. So we have an official tornado warning now in effect for Tuscola County. This is going to include Lapeer County as well until 3:30. It's going to be Mayville, Clifford, and North Branch. It's radar indicated, and we're going to have to make a post on the page for this. Give me 1 second to do that real quick. So now we have a active tornado warning in effect for Lapeer and southern Tuscola counties. You're looking at the cell that is currently warned. There is some broad rotation ongoing with this over Juanita, heading into Mayville. There is the warning just popped up. So now we have a tornado warning in effect for Mayville, Clifford, North Branch, Millington, and areas surrounding. The cell is tightening up. We have no idea why this is happening. It's just happening. The atmosphere isn't very favorable for tornadoes today. So we assume there's some type of surface boundary left over from this morning's storms that is causing some enhanced wind shear in this particular cell. So we're going to have to watch this one closely. Currently, we don't have anything on the ground. If we look at our product that shows any debris on the ground, you would see a big blue ball that shows up somewhere where the rotation meets, and we don't have anything indicating on the ground at this time. It is just currently rotating. It's a very small cell as well. We have a pretty pronounced hook on the back end. And that's all we really can say at this time. Nothing significantly tight at this point. We just have some rotation that is worth watching. It's a mesocyclone that has become surface-based, and at this point, watching the scan cycling through here, it looks like it's organizing quite well. So we'll have to keep an eye on this as it moves toward the Clifford and North Branch areas. If it continues, be it near Burnside, Brown City, Speaker, Melvin, Peck, and Watertown, you are also in the path of the cell. We'll have to watch this closely and see if it holds rotation as it continues moving east. Making a post up here to the page here for this warning. Again, unexpected, as we don't have the low-level wind shear that we usually need for tornadoes, so a little bit surprising here to see the storm that is rotating as it is here. So I have to watch this as we continue into the afternoon to see if anything else is going to start rotating. So we have that warning. We have another cell out here near Lakefield. We have a complete line from, we'll call it Bay City, over to Grand Rapids. We click over to the Grand Rapids radar. It's a pretty good line that continues to develop. If you can zoom it over here toward the Grand Rapids area, we do have more development popping up near Sydney and Greenville. That could also continue to expand to the east, to the west as the afternoon goes on. So currently just one severe warning and one tornado warning in effect now. The tornado warning goes until 3:30 for Lapeer and Tuscola counties. This is for the cell that you see on your screen. It is currently over Juanita, heading into Mayville. We go to the velocity scan. We'll have to keep on tracking this. It looks like it's trying to broaden out there. It was a little tight for a minute. Nothing that says on the ground, but definitely some rotation there worth watching for sure. Let's go ahead and check our product correlation coefficient. We do not see anything on the ground at this time. So again, tornado warning still remains in effect for northern Lapeer and southern Tuscola counties until 3:30 this afternoon. Anybody have any comments or questions? Feel free to go ahead and ask them. I'm going to take a peek really quick at some live data that we're going to get from the Detroit Pontiac radar and see what the wind shear is doing. I'm curious as to why this is happening. I assume it's because of a surface boundary, but we'll have to double check that. I click on Detroit. Yeah, so not a very favorable what we call hodograph, which is like a measure and a look into the atmospheric wind shear. The overall hodograph at Detroit does not look favorable at all for tornadoes. So this is kind of a surprise event that's happening. I think this is going to stay localized. I do believe this is because of outflow boundaries from this morning storms. So when you have outflow boundaries, it can spark better lift for storms to fire up. It can also enhance your wind shear that you need to produce these tornadoes. So it's probably a very localized event. This is probably not going to be a widespread event at all. Just going to have to be watching these cells very closely. But again, we don't expect this to be a widespread tornadic event. We didn't expect tornadoes at all, if we're being honest. But I'll have to watch it and see if there's a bigger boundary here. I have not taken a peek at satellite, which can help us find these boundaries. So I'll have to take a peek at that once this storm kind of weakens and see what we're looking at. But again, tornado warning, it remains in effect until 3:30 for northern Lapeer and southern Tuscola counties. The text of the warning says it'll be in Mayville at 3:05, Clifford around 3:25, and North Branch around 3:30. Other locations impacted are going to be East Dayton, Silverwood, and Fostoria. It is radar indicated. It is not on the ground at this time. Your hail size with the storm is also approaching quarter size, which is severe 1-inch hail. Taking a peek again at the widespread, we do have another area up here of rotation looking like it's trying to form near Reese. So that's going to be something to watch here as well as we continue into the afternoon. This is quite interesting to watch unfold here. If we go back to our radar reflectivity, we take a peek at the wide shot. We do have scattered storms now south of that line up there. We don't want to forget down here. Nothing severe yet, but we do have it approaching Pontiac area, and then over towards South Lansing, toward Eaton Rapids and Charlotte. You do have some storms firing up there. So we have some more development down here by Battle Creek, down by 94 here. So we'll have to watch that as the afternoon goes on as well. But we're going to focus mainly right now on the tornado warning that is in effect until 3:30 for, again, northern Lapeer and southern Tuscola counties. The storm is quite a surprise to us, as we did not expect any rotation in these storms today. We expected these to be multi-cell, not supercellular. So to have this is quite a surprise. Again, rotation appears to be still on the weaker side. Nothing that indicates on the ground at this point. Take a peek at our product once again, the correlation coefficient, which shows anything that could be on the ground. Now, this radar height may be a little bit higher than we like it to be, just because the radar is quite far away. So if we do this, our beam height is 3,000 feet off the ground. So anything below 3,000 feet, we're not going to see it. So this tornado warning, the storm may be producing a tornado, but the radar may not be able to see it. So always keep that in mind. As of right now, though, the rotation on this storm appears to be on the weaker side. Nothing that indicates a couplet or anything that's really tight on the ground, which is what you want to see with tornadoes on the ground. So right now, it's looking like the best outcome is happening here. The storm, the rotation is over Mayville currently, about, I want to say, 1 mile outside of town there. About 1.5 miles out of Mayville, coming into Mayville. So if you're in Mayville, Clifford, North Branch, and Marlette, Burnside, Brown City, anywhere in between there, get to shelter, get to your safe places, hunker down, and wait till the storm passes. Again, tornado warning remains in effect until 3:30 for northern Lapeer County, as well as Tuscola counties. Anybody have any questions? I have not looked at chat. Mayville, you are in the path of this. Sirens are not sounding in Mayville, so that they should be sounding in Mayville. They really should be. Some fire departments, which is mainly where most of the tornado sirens are, they control the activation of your siren. And if the fire department doesn't do it, then it's usually on the county emergency management. They should be sounding those sirens, although some departments will not sound it until they actually have their own spotters spot a tornado, or if it's a confirmed tornado via NWS. But yeah, they should be sounding their sirens regardless. Yes, Kayla, that is, Mayville's included in this. You are basically right underneath the mesocyclone, which is the rotation. I see somebody answered. Thank you, whoever did that. I don't know if Nick's on here or Joel's on here. Thank you, whoever answered that question. Taylor asking for Waterford. So again, today across most of the southern and central lower Michigan, we do have a severe threat, including Waterford, mainly in the form of hail and wind. But I guess we can't rule out an isolated tornado here, as we can see these storms are broadly rotating at this point. Definitely have to keep an eye out and see if there's a boundary here that's sagging south with this, or what's going on, because we do have another storm behind it that has some increased velocity over here near Reese. Nothing tight yet, but that's increasing in velocity. So we'll have to watch that as it moves toward the same area near Vassar and Juanita. So we'll have to continue to watch this as the afternoon goes on. But yeah, Waterford, you do have a severe threat today. It's just mainly in the form of wind and hail. Taking a peek at the broad spectrum of things here, we do have 2 lines that are developing. Again, one near Flint down to Lansing into Battle Creek area. It looks like it's in the middle of developing. And again, from Grand Rapids up into the Bay City area, we have a secondary line there. West side appears to stay dry as of right now. If we take a peek really quickly at the Grand Rapids radar, We do have some cells developing now over Kalamazoo, it looks like. Just the start of some cells, nothing, just some light rain, nothing that's really heavy at this point. The majority of that is in the central and eastern part of the state. So again, tornado warning still in effect for Lapeer and Tuscola counties. The storm is directly over Mayville, heading south-southeast at about 35 to 40 miles per hour. The rotation continues to look on the weaker side of things, although we do have what we call a pass-off that's happening. So when one mesocyclone dies, it kind of forms another one, and you can see that happening down here. So it looks like a new mesocyclone area of interest is forming just to the west of Clifford, and I would not be surprised to get an extension of this tornado warning to the east into, I want to say this is Sanilac County over here. Or what county is this? Help me out, guys. I'll call it out here in a second. But I would not be surprised to get this extended over to the east momentarily here, just because that rotation is picking up on the new area, and that's just west of Clifford. Just going to be Sanilac County. Yeah, it's going to be Sanilac County. So I would not be surprised to get that extension over into Sanilac County and maybe even northern Clare County, St. Clair counties. But we'll see what happens here in the next couple of scans. It looks to be passing off and increasing rotation. You can see this is area back here was the original area of interest, and now we have a new area of interest down here. A classic supercell pass off that looks to be ongoing with this. And again, I'm watching the cell behind that near Reese start to rotate as well. So I have to watch the cell right behind it. So you may have two cells to worry about. So don't let your guard down in Mayville, Juanita, and Vassar just yet. We do have a secondary storm showing some interesting signs of rotation up here by Reese. That's heading down the exact same path. So watch that storm as well. Good, Kayla. They needed to sound those. They should have sounded when the warning was issued. Yeah, thank you, Cindy. It was Sanilac County. And I would not be surprised to see an extension into Sanilac and then also northern St. Clair counties. All right, new updated tornado warning. The tornado warning continues for Tuscola and Lapeer counties until 3:30. So they did not cancel it. They had a chance to. They did not. They extended it. But it still remains in effect for the same counties. It's for Lapeer and Tuscola until 3:30. So, Kayla, the cell has moved past Mayville, should I say. Looks to be just west of Clifford now, but there is a secondary cell behind this up by Reese heading toward Mayville. So you're in the clear, I'd say, for about a half hour, 20 minutes to a half hour, and watch out for a secondary storm that is starting to develop some rotation with it. So Mayville, you're not out of the woods yet, but this particular storm that is currently tornado warned is past Mayville. I see they trimmed the backside of this warning down to just include Mayville and points east. That expires in 20 minutes. It says North Branch and Clifford will be there at 3:15 according to the NWS. Thank you, Alex, if you're still watching this, for answering some questions for me. I'm mainly watching radar here, so if I don't immediately answer chat, I apologize. All right, let's take a peek at St. Clair County for you, Shelby. So you're wondering about St. Clair County down here by Capic or Copic. I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce that. So right now, on the broad spectrum of things, we do have storms approaching your area. So, for example, we have this cell down here. Here's Capic. We'll call it Capic. You have a cell coming this way. We also have all these cells that are going to be moving southward as they advance eastward. So right now, they appear to be going mainly to the east. But if you look closely, they're kind of drifting south. So eventually, you should get some storms. At the very least, you'll get rain. Nothing severe imminent for you at this time. Although I do watch this cell here as it looks like it's starting to gain some strength as it heads towards you. So severe threat for you guys today down there in St. Clair County. That does exist, mainly in the form of wind and hail. I do not think that we're going to see anything widespread when it comes to tornadic activity. Just be prepared in the next couple of 20 minutes or so to watch this cell coming up towards you, and a secondary line, maybe a couple other cells that impact you. But we have this one cell heading towards you now, and then we also have that secondary line that should impact you a bit later on this afternoon. So again, focusing back on the tornado warnings, take a peek at the new radar scan. A couple different products to look at here. Nothing too tight. So this is still good news. Nothing looks like it's going to be imminent around the ground at this time. Take a peek at the product really quickly, and there's nothing that I see that catches my eye that says it is on the ground. So it's still some weak rotation. It's prominent enough to issue the warning. I completely agree with Detroit for doing that, but just nothing that is tight enough to say it's on the ground. So we have a severe thunderstorm warning that expires in 3 minutes up here for Tuscola County. That is going to be for a 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. I'm watching this cell behind it very closely. Kind of look at the cell and pause it. If you look at this, it kind of has a little bit of a hook trying to develop on it. So we're going to watch that very closely, and there's some broad rotation on that cell as well. So they may end up issuing another tornado warning for Vassar, Juanita, and a secondary one for Mayville as this storm continues to the southeast. This storm track right now is completely east-southeast at 30 miles an hour, about 30 miles an hour. The track of it says Vassar at 317, Vassar 317, Juanita at 332, and Mayville at 347. Those aren't always the most accurate times, but that is radar indicated at the speed it's going currently. So that could change, but that's the approximate times. So one tornado warning in effect still until 3:30 for northern Lapeer and southern Tuscola. A secondary storm that is beginning to rotate is heading right down the exact same path, being Vassar, Juanita, and Mayville. So definitely an interesting day shaping up here in the thumb of Michigan. So stay tuned with us. We'll keep you guys covered. Let's check chat again to see what we got. From Clarkson to Bay City, so expect some heavy thunderstorms. I really can't tell you exactly what's going to happen. Just expect some heavy thunderstorms with some heavy rain, maybe some small to large hail, and then definitely some wind threat as well. I don't expect there to be many tornado warnings today. As it appears, these storms look to be on a boundary, so it's localized to this one particular area. So I just expect it to be a wind and hail threat for your drive home. So just be prepared for some heavy rains, maybe some gusty winds, and some large hail. White Lake is in a severe threat. I can't tell, specific locations if you're going to see severe weather. It's not an exact science. But White Lake, yes, you are in a severe threat today for mainly wind and hail. Macomb County is the exact same thing, wind and hail threat through the evening. We do have a line developing. We'll go ahead and zoom out and show you guys for those asking. Anybody who is in southeast Michigan, south of this line, so if you're basically south of Saginaw, anywhere between Saginaw, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, and over, you are in a severe threat today. And we have this line developing up here. We have a secondary line developing down here in Lansing. So it's not going to be a huge, widespread severe event. We don't expect that at all. But we do expect some heavy thunderstorms and some severe thunderstorms to be isolated to scattered in nature. So one county may get, an inch of rain. One county may get 0 inches of rain. So it's not going to be a widespread event, but everybody is included just because we don't know exact locations and timing of these storms. It's just there's going to pop up. They're going to become severe. And when they become severe, when they die, that's basically what's going to happen. The atmosphere today is supportive of wind and hail. There is looks to be a surface boundary up where the tornado warning is at that is increasing wind shear. So we'll have to watch that area closely for any tornadic activity. But down here south of Flint, south of I-96 toward Lansing, we have no storms that are rotating at this time. In fact, we can go ahead and take a peek at the velocity on these. As you can see, there's really nothing there. There's no red. There's no bright greens in there to indicate, damaging winds. So those are just ordinary thunderstorms right now, but they could develop into severe thunderstorms as they continue to develop. So again, anybody in Southeast Michigan, you're included in a severe risk today, and also South Central Michigan, same exact thing, severe risk through the evening. The cell up near Vassar is grabbing my attention. That is a very interesting couplet that is now taking shape. They need to issue, at the very least, a severe warning for that cell. That's actually a little bit tighter than the cell that I'm looking at that's currently warned. We go ahead and pause this, and I go back to the velocity. We do have some interesting, that needs a warning. Just to the north of Vassar, that is a fairly tight couplet there, so that is concerning. So if you're in Vassar, Juanita, and Mayville, again, get back to your safe places. If you've come out, get back to your safe places. The storm behind it is also rotating. I see now back on this storm, there's a little bit of an increase in velocity. This area right here, just about 1 to 2 miles southeast of Clifford. That's another area to watch for a potential tornado. Nothing on the ground at this time that we see on radar. But again, the radar beam is 3,000 feet in the air, so it's not going to see anything under that 3,000 feet mark. I'm more concerned about the storm behind the current cell that's warned at this point, just because if you look at the velocities, you can tell this one's much more definitive than the one down here by Clifford. So, excuse me. I have to watch these very closely, continuing in the afternoon. Again, tornado warning is in effect until 3:30 for Tuscola and Lapeer counties. That goes until 3:30, and looking at new data here coming in, I don't see any new warnings being issued yet. That could change here as this storm behind the storm that's currently warned is gaining strength. I'll take a drink here real quick, guys. Give me a second. All right. A new severe thunderstorm warning is now in effect. They extended that one, and they put a tornado possible tag on a severe warning, as well as 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. This is going to be for southern Sanilac and northeastern Lapeer counties. That goes until 4:15, and that is for the current storm that is tornado warned. So they did not extend the tornado warning, but they did extend it as a severe thunderstorm warning now with a tornado possible tag on it. So one thing you guys need to realize about severe thunderstorm warnings is when you think of severe thunderstorm, you think wind and hail. When you think of tornado warning, you think of tornadoes. But sometimes, if you scroll down to the very bottom of the text of the severe thunderstorm warning, you'll see the text that says what hazards are possible. So in particular, if you look closely, if I scroll all the way down to this text, you'll see at the very bottom, tornado possible. Not all warnings, severe warnings, have that tag. So only the ones that we have rotating thunderstorms do. So it's always best to read the text of the warning, scroll all the way down, and look at the hazards. If there's no tornado possible, you're not going to see that listed. You're going to see a hail threat, you're going to see a wind threat with a max hail size and a max wind gust. So something to keep in mind there. A secondary warning that has just been issued now for southern Tuscola County until 4:15 again. They only, and a perfect example of this, for this one, they only put hail to 1 inch and 60-mile-per-hour winds. So that is for the storm that we were watching with rotation. So I'm not entirely sure why they didn't tag that as tornado possible. It did look pretty tight there. It still looks tight in my opinion. I don't know why they're not warning that, or at least tagging that as a tornado possible. But Vassar, Juanita, and Mayville, again, in the path of this secondary cell that has developed behind this tornado warning. So I'm going to watch that one closely as we continue into the afternoon. Again, zooming out to the wide spectrum of things, we have 2 lines of showers and storms that have developed. one stretching from Pontiac down to Battle Creek. As you can see, there's more cells popping up down here. Those should continue to develop and mature as they continue east. Have somebody telling me that the storm in Vassar may be close to producing a tornado. We'll see about that here in a second. I mean, when you see a brighter green and a brighter red meeting, that's pretty concerning, and this is no exception. So I'm surprised they did not issue a tornado warning and they went to a severe warning with this one. So if you are anywhere near, okay, looks like it broadened out here in the last scan, so that's really good news. So Vassar, Juanita, Mayville, still in the path of this storm, and if it continues to the southeast, again, Clifford and North Branch will be in the path of the storm as well. We do have an extension, or at least a cut down, should I say, of the tornado warning. It's now a very tiny sliver, and that is only for northeastern Lapeer County. So it looks like they're going to allow that to expire. Broad rotation still there, just to the east of Clifford and just to the southwest of Marlette. Nothing tight at this point, just some broad rotation now with that storm. And again, looks like the one behind it has broadened out as well for the time being. So good news here. No tornadoes that are on the ground. It looks like these storms are starting to weaken. We're not going to say weaken. We're going to say they could be recycling. So I have to kind of watch the next 2 or 3 scans here and to see what they do. But at the time being, these storms look to be on the weakening trend. Take a peek at comments here real quick. Mount Clemens. So Mount Clemens, you're going to be in the severe threat today. You're going to have a wind and hail threat. Again, I don't expect there to be any widespread tornadic activity. I don't think the atmosphere is very supportive of it. I do believe this is a very localized occurrence because we have a leftover boundary that is in place. It's important to make sure you're forecasting these boundaries because they can affect these storms like today on a big basis. I don't expect there to be widespread tornadic activity. I just think it's localized to this one area in the thumb. Flint, again, you're in a severe threat. Take a peek at radar for you. I do know there is a couple storms heading over Flint, or at least near Flint. So you have a storm over Flint. We have a report of pea-sized hail in that. It looks pretty. I'm not going to say weak because that's the wrong word for it, but definitely nothing there that screams severe at all. Just a heavy downpour and maybe some lightning with it. Otherwise, from that, we do have the secondary line coming towards you. So that's probably going to be the main line to watch for severe weather. So just watch out to your west and to your north for these storms that are approaching you a little bit later on this afternoon. Farther north near Oscoda, no, really the cutoff is going to be Saginaw and south, but because we have this line of storms now, I'm going to go ahead and draw a line for you. Anything north of Saginaw, really, Saginaw to Grand Rapids, anything north of there, you're in the clear for the day. Anything north of here, you're all clear. If you're from Saginaw to Grand Rapids and south, you are in a severe threat today for wind and hail. We do have a report of wind damage and hail coming out of this cell now from Eaton Rapids near Mason. We have a report of pea-sized hail, and we have a report of some minor tree damage. So that's over Bunker Hill, heading into the Pinckney, Hamburg Township area, White Oak. There's somebody calling me. Nope. All right. All right. Make sure nobody was trying to get a hold of me for information. So back looking at the broad spectrum of things, we have two warnings, three warnings really in effect. We have two severe thunderstorm warnings. We have one tornado warning in effect. That should be allowed to expire here momentarily. We do have areas of broad rotation we're watching. One south of Marlette, and the other one is going to be up near Juanita. And both of them look very broad at this time, nothing too organized. You can see the brighter colors just kind of weakening as it continues to move southeast on both of these. So good news is tornado threat looks to be decreasing. The bad news is the day is just getting started in terms of wind and hail threat. So again, these two warnings remain in effect for Lapeer, Tuscola, St. Clair counties until about 4:15 or so. If you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Rose in Petersburg, you are my neighbor. I am the county next to you. So we are going to be expecting some scattered storms later on today. Severe wind and hail is possible. It's not going to be a widespread event. We do expect the severe threat to remain pretty isolated in nature. But again, when you have that isolated nature, I could see a severe thunderstorm over here near Adrian, but you may not get it in Petersburg. You know what I mean? So it's going to really just depend on where the storms are going to be at and what they're going to do today. We really can't say for sure, but we can say that we do have an environment that is favorable for wind and hail, potentially severe. I do believe we have some increasing rotation now back on that cell. Yes, we do. So between Vassar and Juanita, we do have increasing rotation back on the cell heading right toward Mayville. So that storm appears to be what we call cycling through. So rotation weakens as the cyclone kind of cycles through its stages and it comes back a little bit stronger. Happens every about 15 minutes or so, we say, in the supercells. So it's not uncommon to see this happen. Take a peek at radar here, and you can tell that the storm is pretty still defined has a pretty defined hook on it still. So rotation back increasing on that cell near Juanita. That's going to be in Mayville here in the next 10 to 15 minutes. So if you're in Mayville watching, head back to your safe place and hunker down. Looks like the latest scan on this kind of weakened a little bit, but not by much. So we'll have to watch the next scan in 3 minutes and see what it looks then. Again, tornado warning still remains in effect. Actually, never mind, it expired. That warning expired. The storm that prompted the warning appears to be weakened. It's just a wind and hail threat now at this time as it continues off into St. Clair and Sanilac counties. Back up here in Tuscola County, you still have a storm worth watching that's heading right down the exact same path as the storm that was just tornado warned has went down. So head back to chat here and answer some questions. Grand Rapids. So yeah, Grand Rapids, you're kind of on the edge of the storms currently. Nothing right now indicates that Grand Rapids is in the path of severe weather. That may change. As you can see, this line here may extend further over this way. I'm not sure why. There it goes. I'm lagging hard. If that line does extend, Grand Rapids would definitely look at getting at least some good heavy rain. The ingredients for severe weather look to be highest on the eastern part of the state, but they do exist in the western part of the state. So if you're in Grand Rapids, the western part of the state in general, don't let your guard down today. Owasso. So Owasso at 8 p.m. tonight. So that's going to be cutting it close, I would assume. You're just between Lansing and Flint, aren't you? Yeah, there you are. So your initial concern for me is what's going to develop back here. As of right now, I say in the next hour to 2 hours is your best bet for rain and storms. You may be clear by 8 o'clock. Shelby Township, so you have storms heading your way. We have a new warning just got issued. Nope, that's a marine warning, so it's not. We're not going to cover that. So yeah, Shelby Township again. You're going to have storms heading your way here in the next hour or two. We have two lines of storms that have developed. We have one that is now entering the North Ann Arbor area. We have more development down by Albion into Union City, just to the east of Battle Creek. So you have that to worry about. And then this line up here that is currently prompting the warnings, this is also moving to the south slowly. So we may have that to worry about as well. So you may have 2 rounds, may have 1 round. We're not entirely sure how this is going to play out. The models didn't even have this much coverage on their runs this morning. So as of right now, I'd say just be prepared for at least 1 to 2 rounds of heavy rain, thunderstorms, and potential severe weather in the form of wind and hail. Yes, the North Branch tornado warning is canceled at this time. You still remain under a severe warning, and we do have a storm that is broadly rotating right now. Go ahead and take a peek at that again. Don't want to lose that. This storm right here, we go ahead and zoom back to the velocity. It's still there, catches my eye, but it's not as tight as it should be to prompt a tornado warning. It may cycle through a few times. It may come back stronger, but as of right now, nothing is imminent there at this time. That's just north of Juanita heading into Mayville here momentarily. Drifting south toward Port Huron. So Port Huron, you're over here by Sarnia, aren't you? I want to say over here somewhere. But yeah, you should be. It's drifting slowly south toward Port Huron. Any other questions? So the tornado warning has expired for Lapeer County as of 3/32. A special marine warning is now in effect for people who boat or are on the lakes fishing. That is now in effect. I don't see it on my end here. I don't have the product, I don't believe, on my radar. But there is a special marine warning now in effect for these cells coming on this area. So if you're out there boating, or you know people out there boating, get a hold of them and get them back to shore. Another area of rotation now I'm picking up here near Millington. So I have to watch that close now. We just have all these storms wanting to try to spin. They want to do something, but I don't think there's enough in the atmosphere today to get these storms to actually do something. We do have a boundary there in place. I took a peek at satellite. There is a boundary which can enhance wind shear and also enhance lift. So that's what's causing the majority of these storms to spin. It's not expected to be a widespread tornadic event. It's just going to be this localized area east of US 23 there in the thumb of Michigan. If anybody has reports, pictures, or has seen any reports or pictures, go ahead and tag us in it on Facebook or Twitter. We'd love to see it. Curious what we're going to be getting. Curious what people are getting in terms of hail and wind with this, and see if there's any pictures of any funnel clouds or wall clouds or anything like that. Yeah, no problem, Jackie. That's what we're here for. K-Pack. Okay. I'm not familiar with that area of the state, so you have to forgive me. Pontiac. So yeah, you're going to have at least one round of thunderstorms today, potentially severe. So we go back down here to Pontiac. Go ahead and switch over to radar. You do have a few storms working their way through. Nothing right now that indicates severe weather. We do have the secondary line that is Ann Arbor North heading your way. It may miss you to the south, but there could be more development between this area and this area up here. And of course, you have these storms heading your way as well. These don't look to be that strong right now, just probably some rain, maybe a few rumbles of thunder, but nothing severe heading your way right now. But just keep an eye out for anything else that develops behind this. I want to take a peek down here at the Washtenaw, and I want to say what kind this is. I want to screw that up. But this storm in particular, taking a peek here, we do have some brighter velocities showing up there. Momentarily, we did near Bunker Hill, just to the east of Leslie, heading towards Stockbridge. So if you're in that area, out ahead of this into Dexter, Ann Arbor North, Whitmore Lake, Green Oak, Brighton, I'd go ahead and be prepared for a heavy storm heading your way. Nothing severe at this time, but that could change with this. Head back up here and take a peek at this storm again. Yeah, we did have that very brief area of rotation near Millington that kind of popped up for one scan. Now it's back to being weak. That one storm that prompted the warning now has very minimal rotation, and the one back to the northwest of that near Mayville has very broad rotation with that. Nothing that catches my eye as imminent. So Mayville, you look to be in the clear for right now. It's about to pass over you in the next 5 minutes. And again, 2 severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, and one's for Tuscola County. Another one is for northern St. Clair counties and southern Lapeer counties. It's totally over near Leslie. No rain, nothing. Yeah, Leslie, you're in the clear for now. Okay, we do have reports to your north of pea-sized hail and minor tree damage. That's all for right now. DTX Detroit continues severe thunderstorm warning for Tuscola County until 4:15 for 1-inch size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. For those asking from Pontiac, that storm that is over the radar currently, it's going to go to your north. Looks to be gaining some strength there, so you may get some heavy rain out of that storm. Take a peek at velocity. Nothing too bright on velocity, so wind shouldn't be that big of an issue. Just some heavy rain, maybe some small hail in that. Ann Arbor, how's it looking? Katie in Pontiac says it's getting very windy. I don't see much in the way on radar that indicates windy. So if you're getting good wind gusts, how windy is it? Like, is it 20 mile an hour blowing your trees around, or is it blowing tree limbs down type of windy? As far as Ann Arbor goes, Vicky, Ann Arbor North right now looks to be in the best area. We do have more storms behind. So Ann Arbor right here, if you can't see it on radar, it's right there. These cells are slowly drifting south, so they may clip Ann Arbor. But I think you're going to be in the clear for the next half hour or so. If something fills in here, it'll head right for you. But I'd watch this cell up here in particular heading toward Ann Arbor. Right now, nothing severe, just heavy rain, no wind or we do have minor reports of tree damage and pea-sized hail. So be prepared for that. That storm's going to be just over to the north of Chelsea, near Dexter and that'll be impacting you the next half hour or so. But that looks to stay mainly to your north, unless it turns right here and continues its southward trend. I don't see it impacting the metro area. I would have to see it drift further south for that, or something happens in between here. So I'm living down here in this area. So if these storms approach, I'll probably be out watching these. So we have 2 warnings currently in effect still in the thumb for Lapeer, Tuscola, and St. Clair counties. The storms that prompted the tornado warning earlier have since weakened. Everything at this point on velocity looks like it's weak. I know we had this area up here near Mayville that we were watching. It's still a little bit there. Nothing that screams imminent or on the ground. So Mayville, you are in the clear. It's about directly over town right now, just to the north of town, looks like. And then that'll be heading toward Clifford and North Branch momentarily. But again, nothing imminent, nothing that screams tornado imminent. These storms down here by Chelsea have my eye, not for tornadoes, but just for the way they're looking. We making a good wind threat through Washtenaw County into Wayne County here. Yeah, there's some increased velocity now showing up on radar, so I have to watch that closely. Here on the backside, we do have areas like right here, maybe some hail. Right here could be some hail. Back here could be some wind. So I have to watch that cell closely as it continues off to the east-southeast. In the path of that storm will be Chelsea, Dexter, Hamburg Township, Whitmore Lake, Northfield, Salem, Ann Arbor Charter Township, Canton, Plymouth. You'll be in the path of that, as well as Novi here in the next couple of, we'll say within the hour or two. Dexter, you're within 20 minutes. South Line, you're within about a half hour of it. All right, any more questions here? Yeah, that's about what we see on radar, Katie. About 20-mile-an-hour winds. So that's pretty accurate. Pretty accurate with what we're seeing on radar. Nothing here in downriver area except windy. Actually, go ahead and show these on the screen while I talk about these, so you guys can see the comments. Nothing here in downriver area except very windy. Yeah, so downriver currently, you're not close to any storms. That could change. That will change, should I say, as the evening goes on. Especially if this line near Chelsea and Dexter continues to the southeast. Those will continue to work toward the downriver area in South Metro Detroit. Yeah, Brighton would be in the path of this. Yeah, Brighton, you're about 10 to 15 minutes away from getting rain. Probably a few thunderstorm, or probably a few rumbles of thunder, should I say? Looks like there's a gust front taking shape in that storm as well, so that may become. I don't want to make predictions, but I'd say in the next, half hour to an hour, that may become warned for severe wind as it heads into the Novi, Livonia, Taylor area. We'll have to see how fast that matures. If it matures quickly, we could see it for Washtenaw County. But for right now, nothing severe. It's just looking like it's organizing itself. Excuse me. How's Midland looking? So Midland right now looks to be in the clear. You are north of the initial line of showers and storms. We could see a few pop-ups, but I think the severe threats can remain south of you there in Midland. Victoria asks, how's Monroe looking for today? So anywhere south of Flint to Grand Rapids, you're in a severe risk. Monroe in particular, we're watching a line of storms develop off to the east-northeast. That's going to be near Chelsea, by Brighton, all the way down toward Battle Creek into Union City, Coldwater area. As those storms move to the east-southeast, they'll eventually reach Monroe. Probably say later on, closer to 5 or 6. We could see some pop-up storms happen as well. But for right now, Monroe, you have a severe wind and hail threat, and I'd say the main threat's going to be centered around, we'll say, 6 o'clock. Destiny asks, is Coldwater going to get anything? So Coldwater currently looking on radar here. I have radar pulled up on my phone as well. So if we look on this radar, we zoom out and go down to Coldwater. Switch over to the Indianapolis radar, or the North Indianapolis radar. So Coldwater being right here on 69. There you are. The line of storms is basically right over you. Now, you don't look to have anything forming, but we could see some pop-ups along this area right here, and that would impact you within the next about half hour or so. So Coldwater, you're currently in the clear, but that could change if storms continue to develop to the southeast along this line. You can see the line pretty prominently up through Waterford Township. It's a pretty prominent line there. So you're in the clear for now. Katie says it is currently wild in Mayville. Yeah, no problem. So what we love to do. So, what do you mean by crazy though, or what do you mean by wild? What's happening? Beth says Brownstown around 6:30ish. So let's take a peek at radar again. So Brownstown, yeah, I'd say that's a good guess. If these storms congeal into one. What happens when these storms congeal is they usually pick up speed. So it may be quicker than that. It really just depends on what these storms decide to do. Today is a day that we could see some merging, and when that merging happens, it kind of speeds up storms. If they don't merge and hold their current pace, I would definitely say Brownstown around 6:30 is a good guess. You're in Waterford, just starting to hear thunder. That's about right. Take a peek at Waterford up here. Up by Pontiac, yeah. That storm kind of blew up there over the radar. Good. Yeah, there's pretty good wind with that too. Lake Orion, Auburn Hills. There's some increased velocity there, which could indicate some stronger wind gusts. So that's pretty close to the ground too, because the radar is literally this black hole. That's the radar. So being so close to it, that's pretty much wind on the ground. So you're probably getting close to 50-mile-per-hour gusts in that. So that may need a warning on it there. We'll have to see if they issue one for wind. Jennifer says, thunder, lightning, heavy rain, and no cows yet. Livingston County. The cows come later, Jennifer. So yeah, Livingston County, looking like increase of wind here for sure. I may actually go out and chase these particular cells here because I'm fairly close. If I just zoom up, I'll be in Ann Arbor in about 20 minutes. So I'd probably cut it off between Canton and Ann Arbor on US 12 there. I may actually go after that here in a few minutes. But yeah, Livingston County. Katie says, raining hard. I've had hail and winds blowing hard at times. How big is the hail? Is it pea size? Is it dime size, quarter size? I think the warning up there is for quarter size hail. So yeah, looking at the broad spectrum, we have three warnings now actually. They issued another one, it appears, for they issued that one about 6 minutes ago. I must have missed that for St. Clair County until 4:45. That's going to be for 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch hail, and that's going to be up in the Brockway area up by Yale. Take a peek at velocity. Nothing really screams severe with this, but there is definitely some hail in it. And that cell near Pontiac looks like it is weakening. And when that happens, you usually see an increase in velocity because of the downburst that happens, and it still is. That's why we're getting some increased velocity there, because we do have a downburst. So you may see some tree damage there in the Lake Orion, Oxford, Auburn Hills area. Yeah, so you see this area in particular, you see how this looks like there's a line going through that? That's a gust front, a wind gust front. That's going to need to be watched and monitored for some gustier winds. Anybody is in the Hamburg Township, Dexter, South Lyon areas ahead of the storm, Hamburg, Whitmore Lake, Green Oak Township, South Lyon, Putnam Township, Stockbridge, even Unidalia. If you're anywhere near that area, if you have a report of how windy it is currently, that would be great, because I'm kind of curious on how this is looking here. Katie says a dime size. That's pretty good hail. Dime size is nothing to sneeze at. North of Lapeer County, North Branch, that was a tornado warrant about 3 o'clock. I think we're clear yet. So 4 tornadoes, yeah, you're in the clear for North Branch. At this time, excuse me, take a peek back at velocity up here. So North Branch is sandwiched between all these storms currently. Nothing that I see rotating, although you do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect to your east and also to your north. So expect some heavy rain, maybe some small hail, some gusty winds, nothing tornadic at this time. So yeah, you are in the clear for tornadoes. Jennifer Pinckney, no heavy wind yet. All right, cool. So we go ahead, zoom back in here for the Pinckney area. Let's see where you at. I know you're under somewhere. Where are you at? I know you're around here somewhere. Are you north of this? You might be north of this. I can't find Pinckney. I know it's up here somewhere. There's Wixom, Brighton, Howell, Fowlerville. Where is Pinckney? I know you're up here somewhere. All right, I'll give up on that. I know you're up there somewhere, but I can't find you. Yeah, that's what I thought. So yeah, I do a lot of work up there in that area. I knew that's up there somewhere. I just couldn't find where it says Pinckney on the map here. Maybe it doesn't say Pinckney at all. But yeah, so you're we'll go ahead and call it Hamburg Township. So the initial gust front that's showing up on radar would be just off to your west. So here's Hamburg Township. The gust front right now is right off to your west. So in the next 5 to 10 minutes, I'd say that's going to blow through. I wouldn't say it's severe. I'm just kind of curious if it's gaining strength there, because it's showing up on radar fairly well. Gusty winds in Sumter. Good afternoon to you, Julie. All right, a new severe thunderstorm warning is now in effect for Washtenaw County. And that is exactly what I thought they would do, honestly, because that gust front appears to be gaining strength. This is going to include Dexter, Barton Hills, Whitmore Lake, Salem, Willow Run, Ann Arbor, North Ann Arbor, from 94 north, essentially. So these cluster of storms is now severe thunderstorm warned, and that is going to be for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. We'll see that yellow box pop up on the screen here in the next couple of minutes. We'll go ahead and take a peek at that once it does. But they basically warned this area all the way down to the 94 corridor, about right there. So as expected, there is now a severe thunderstorm warning for Washtenaw County for hail and wind. That includes mainly the Ann Arbor, Dexter, as well as the Pinckney, Whitmore Lake, and Salem areas, all the way down to the airport, Willow Run Airport. There's the box. Take a peek at that. Southern Livingston, northern Washtenaw until 5 o'clock. The storm will be near Chelsea around 4, Pinckney around 4:05, Dexter 4:15, Hamburg 4:20, Whitmore Lake 4:25, South Line and Dixboro at 4:30, and Salem around 4:40. Hail size 1 inch, which is quarter. Wind gusts up to 60. No tornado possible. There is no rotation with the storm. It is clearly a wind threat, very clear-cut wind threat too. As we can see, that wind area of gust front is moving through quite nicely. So we'll see how that interacts as it gets closer to the radar and closer to Wayne County. And I may actually skip out and head north to cut this off because I'd be pretty much in the path of this if I go about 15 minutes to my north. I may wait for these down here too, down in Jackson and the Hillsdale Coldwater. I may wait for those to develop a little bit more and see what that does. So yeah, we have that warning now. We also have the current warnings up in the thumb still for wind and hail. Again, the tornado threat appears to be low at this time. Nothing here that catches my eye at all for tornadoes. So a very very short-lived tornado threat up there in the thumb. That happened a little bit earlier. About an hour ago, we had a couple warnings pop up for Mayville area. But those have since expired, and now just heavy rain and potential severe wind and hail. All right, guys, with that being said, I'm probably going to go ahead and hop off here. I'm probably going to head out and chase a little bit, and I may go live if I get on the good storm. But as of right now, it's just a couple warnings that are severe. Nothing significant that is currently ongoing. Just, again, 3 warnings, Washtenaw, Livingston counties. And we also have up in the thumb, we have Tuscola, Sanilac, and St. Clair counties that are under warning until 4:45. So with that being said, guys, I'm probably going to head out here, and I will go live if I have a good storm. Any warnings that get issued will be posted to the page. So with that, guys, stay safe, and thank you guys for tuning in.